Doesn't it books
appear like it went live? I'm just going to do it manually. YouTube's going live. So give us a second. All right, it says we're live on YouTube's. Oh, I should put our face on the screen.
Yes.
There we go.
Right. Welcome everybody. We're just getting started here.
Let me just quick check on Instagram. Can you have Sean check the Instagram? I don't think he's started it.
Sean, have you started the Instagram?
Also, are these last week's questions here?
I believe these are new.
No, there's old ones from last week.
All right.
He was waiting to hear from you.
Ah,
I just told him to.
oh, you'll love it.
Are these last week's
I
questions?
haven't gone in cleaned yet. Justin, did you move in? I have not moved in.
All right.
Okay, then we'll take this back.
Okay, we are up, I think, on all the things. Oh, yeah, that's working.
Are we up?
Yep.
All right. Welcome everybody. I'm Javad Shadzi. This is Nate Stewart. This is the 034 Motorsport live chat.
And this is our first time streaming from this computer, so
very nice.
hopefully it'll all stay together for us.
You've done it.
What episode are we on?
147? 48.
148, episode 148. We've done 148 of these since COVID started. As always, this is a Q&A session for all things 034 Motorsport. If you have any questions about products, services, anything you'd like from us, you want to know about our history, our philosophy, you love us, let us know. If you hate us, please let us know as well. In fact, we're more concerned about letting us know if you hate us.
Yeah, we'd love to fix it.
We could try to do something about that. We take a no BS approach to responding to questions. We try to cut to the chase, to the heart of the matter. If you have a question or comment or anything you'd like to say, please put it into the text field of your choice on the browser that you're watching.
Yeah, we're on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah,
so.
which if you're watching, you probably
You're watching from one of them.
At least
so
one
if you
of those.
prefer one of the others, you can jump around to your heart's content. They're all streaming live.
Yep. So, all right, we got questions rolling in already. So we'll try to get through all the questions. We've been getting a lot of questions lately. We're really not doing too many status or update questions. So if you ask one of those and it doesn't get answered, that's why.
We'll touch on what we can, but
yeah.
We're trying to get everything as quickly as we can to you guys as soon as it's ready.
All right, so someone's asking, help me understand, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at this intake, I'm looking at my phone here. Help me understand the benefits of your transmission insert mount on a B9 S5, and are those benefits only realized when tuned? So the factory transmission mount on a B9 S5 and a B9 S4 applies to, what I'm about to say applies to all B8s and B9s, basically. There's a void, a rubber mount with voids in the mount, and those voids allow a lot of movement or compliance in the mount. So by installing our insert, our solid billet aluminum insert goes in and fills those voids. By removing that airspace, it reduces the mount's ability to move and locks the mount in a more defined range of movement and space. Now, the mount still moves because it's made from rubber, so the rubber can still compress and move around, but those gaps are now filled. So we basically remove the amount of movement that the mount can do while still providing comfort and NVH resistance.
Yeah, and on the B9 in particular, there's already a metal plate there that does this stock in the like the acceleration and movement. So it'll limit it and stop it. We take that a step further and just reduce the amount that it can move both up and down, and then also fore and aft, which they do actually move a fair bit under acceleration.
The factory plate works more in the up and down range, but the fore and aft there's
big old gaps fore and aft.
These benefits are not only realized when tuned; they're realized on a stock car. This stiffer transmission mount does improve the amount the engine moves. It does improve the shifting feel and the speed of shifting and the transfer of power. So instead of squishing that mount, that power applies more directly right to the wheels. This is a great upgrade. We sell thousands of these a year. We've had dealerships installing them on factory cars when customers complain about how like clunky DS.
Yeah, these are very similar to the B8 mounts, the B8 transmission mounts, and that was one of the things that kind of surprised us is the number of dealerships that started taking them up to fix the clunky 2-to-1 downshift on the B8s. So.
Yeah. So that's the benefit. It's a really low cost, easy to do. You can do it in your driveway, pretty much on your back, really quickly. But one of our most popular upgrades this is a product we really brought to the market with the solid billet aluminum insert. Is 034 developing any update solutions for DAZA OEM diverter valve leaks and failure? And would there be any way to check for leaks with the basic data log VCDS? That's not something we're currently working on. I do believe there are a few products on the market already that do that, like from Forge and Go Fast Bits or
GFB had some stuff,
something like that.
I don't know about the DAZA specifically on them, but they usually were.
They probably do.
There's a kit currently that's converting these to blow off valve from diverter valve.
Yeah, and that's usually a Forge thing or a say HKS because they're not around. But
Going to a true
just an actual blow off. Or tile. Yeah, tiles get a bunch of those conversions too. But as far as diagnosing it, there's a couple of things. Usually, it's going to require data logging, and what you'll want to look at. It's going to be tough because now you're trying to look at it, after the fact potentially. But you would look at requested boost versus your actual boost that's being made pre-throttle body, and then the amount of duty cycle on the wastegate that's being required to get to that point. That'll give you a good picture of basically if you've got it'll surface as a boost leak because it's just going to circulate around the turbo.
Yeah.
So your wastegate duty cycle is going to go up quite a bit from what it would normally be if you didn't have a leak there. So that's how you would diagnose it, but it's going to depend on your tune and what the actual calibration is calling for and what you would normally expect. So you kind of have to have a pre-sample to know if you've got a bad one.
Yeah. I think in general we would just throw in a new OEM one. I don't think they may not be lifetime products, valves, but they don't also fail right away.
Yeah,
they don't fail right away. So, any pro tips on removing the B9 034 strut brace hex fasteners? They're having issues with the Allen stripping.
Yeah, I've found. There's a lot of quality variants on the actual tool, the hex key itself. They'll go to say a Craftsman hex key versus a Snap-on hex key versus a Harbor Freight hex key.
Yeah.
And how quickly those will start to round and also the actual fit of them. Sometimes I've seen where you can start to strip or round off the edges on one of those if you're using a suboptimal tool, and you can switch to a proper, good fitting, nice tolerance hex key, and you can often get them out. But if it's gone too far and you've rounded it, you're into bolt extractor territory. Or if you have a sacrificial Torx, sometimes you can hammer a Torx bit into it and use that to kind of bite the edges.
I would also avoid using an Allen key because those.
When I say key, it's in an actual socket.
No, I wasn't saying this to them. Allen keys tend to twist, and they're good for for assembling things by hand. They're not good for high torque applications. So I'd recommend getting like a 3/8 socket with an Allen provision on it, and get something good quality, like Nate said, like at least Craftsman or
at least. Yeah, these days it's kind of hit or miss, but
I've used the Harbor Freight stuff too, and it's their sockets, Allen sockets seem fine too. Don't use like a real long one because again, you want to avoid the twisting.
Definitely don't use a ball end or a misalignment one. Yeah. Those are terrible for getting any kind of torque on it. And then if you do if it doesn't strip, it'll just snap the ball off usually, and then you're stuck with a hardened tool piece inside your
worst case, if you can't get it off, just take maybe like a 5/16 drill bit and just drill down through the head.
Yep.
Eventually,
thankfully it's clear you can go all the way through that.
Eventually the head will fall off. You may have to go to a 3/8 to get it fully to fall off because it's an 8 mil bolt. And then you can just thread the shaft out, afterwards with some pliers or something like that. We are providing, I believe, new kits that we're shipping have Torx replacements, which is a much higher,
You get a lot more
as the name
torque.
suggests, higher torque than an Allen. And if you have a bar with Allen bolts and you're having problems with it, or you'd like to avoid having any problems, then just contact our customer service and we'll send you some torque.
We did lots of installs here with them, but we did it with, some, I guess we have, known good tools and torque specs.
I think a lot of the issues are related to the bad tools. And bad
and the Allen key is a good one too, because the 90-degree Allen keys, the handset, are really hard to torque on. And when you do, it almost always inevitably you put a twisting motion on it too, and those things just trash the hex socket.
Yeah, another thing that I've done in the past is I've taken the shorter the Allen section, the better. So, like, sometimes you buy them and they come, they're like, it's about an inch long. And so I'll take a tool and cut it off and then square up the end really good so that it's like more like
A quarter or
3/8 inch or something. Because the more that twists, the more the Allen deforms and causes problems. But in general, we should have never used an Allen in that application.
With the option of having a Torx in there,
We should have used the Torx, and we didn't really have problems with it here, so we didn't anticipate, the real world effect. So, which is why we're happy to send you new stuff if you need it. All right, someone says, love to see the new lift plates for VW All-Track. Will 034 continue expanding into more off-road applications with Allroad, Q5, etc.? Possibly. We had kind of a special situation with this particular product where we got, someone requested that we do it, and we took a look at it, and we felt like we could really bring a lot of value to some of the existing options that were in the market, which technically lift your car but really screw up your alignment. So we felt like we could really add a lot of substance to this product, and we did. In general, we don't see a lot of business for like off-road and overlanding type stuff, although I know there are people out there that do it, and it's really fun. Right now, it feels like it's a really small market. So the more feedback we get,
unbelievably small market.
The more feedback and requests we get, the more we can do. But it would be fun. I mean, if there was thousands of people out there overlanding Q5s, which would be a great car to do it with, it would be fun to do more products for those. But it's a very different, for as far as engineering goes, there's a lot of similarities, but it's a very different. Like our business is about lowering, stiffening, better handling on pavements, not the dirt. So. What timing advance and or retard should I be seeing on my logs? Stage 2 plus E40 with water meth injection.
That is I will say, an impossible to answer question without having more data. I can give you a rough range. The timing's going to be all over the place. It's going to have to vary depending on air intake temps, your actual boost pressure. I have no idea what pulley setup you're running. And then what the water meth is or isn't doing across your air temp sensors, which is affecting the measured air intake temps. But I would say you're probably, on average, if you're, say, around 2200 millibar or so boost, you'll see in the 30s, low 30s of timing advance. If you're making a bunch more boosts than that, it'll probably drop down into the mid-20s. But again, this is at redline. All the way, that's going to be basically the peak number you're going to see. So that's, I guess, as close as I can get you to a ballpark. But if you have any questions with it, always send in your logs. We're happy to look them over for you.
Yeah, this is like Nate said, a good question for our tuning support team. Yeah, we're here just for that reason.
There's almost never a situation where you can ask a question like that, or there is never a situation where with that information somebody can give you an answer and say that's what you should see. There's so many factors that go into the timing controls, the fueling controls. There's 500 variables that lead up to a timing number on the ECU. Yeah. So, that's a tough one to just answer off the cuff.
Someone's asking boxers or briefs. These are some hard-hitting.
We're getting all the aspects here.
I actually prefer both.
You prefer both? You wear two sets? You're like double duty?
No, this is some engineer out there at some point said, why don't we combine the benefits of boxers and briefs?
Also, like right leg is a boxer one day, left leg's a brief.
No, that's bad engineering. The good engineering was just kind of taking tighty whities and then making them longer.
Oh, the boxer briefs, got it.
Boxer brief, yes, that's what they're called. So that's what I prefer. I like those.
I generally boxers. I do have some boxer briefs though.
Yeah, I could never.
Not a brief guy. No.
Well, I could do briefs if I had to, but boxers, it's just so weird.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like not wearing anything. All right. Let's see. Possible to get an A6 C8 3.0 T tune locally.
Yeah.
We are interested in tuning a C8 A6. So if you are local, please contact us.
Yeah.
Tuning.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get in touch with us. It's one of those things.
Or social app.
It's a really small market compared to like the S4, S5, and then RS cars. So we get very few requests for it, but it's certainly on our radar. And if you're local and want to work with us, hit us up.
No, we are working on a Q8 tune, which is
We have a Q8 we're working with
similar.
right now, which is going to be in the same vein.
so no, it shouldn't be a problem. In fact, if all goes well, it's not really even a tune. It's just
We're just porting
our
the file we've got now. Not a lot more into it.
Why did you choose to go with metal versus plastic for B9 transmission mount insert? What makes it worth the premium price versus competitor offerings? Plastic is not the right material for this. I'm not even sure if I've seen a plastic version on the market. Plastic,
They might be talking about the poly. Some people call poly plastic.
Oh, okay.
That might be.
And there's lots of poly ones, and that's an easy one. The poly ones do not hold up. After about a year, the poly hardens and starts breaking, and so we have many customers who install our aluminum ones to replace their poly ones, and a lot of times they're having to go in there with like screwdriver
Dental
and pick
picks
and just try to get all the pieces of poly out that have kind of hardened and crumbled inside the mounts. So poly seems like a good option, but it just isn't. So the aluminum inserts can bend and deform slightly, but they always fill the void no matter what shape they are. And so aluminum is the right material. One company basically knocked ours off, but they did them in stainless steel.
Oh, you're thinking the MQB?
Yeah. But I don't know if they did them in the B8 B9 either. But I'm just saying in general, steel is also just it's a very expensive material and a lot of machining.
It's the machine time that kills it. Yeah, the material is less, but it's just 10x in machine time.
And with no benefit.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the stainless steel one's bent too.
Yep.
And the bending is really not a problem. But anyways, as far as the premium, I don't know what's out there. There's a lot of like knockoffs and Chinese stuff out there. We have on some of these mounts have 4 or 5 revisions over the years. So, and most of these are knocked off of our mounts, so they would be older versions that either we improved on, we refined, we continued to change the shape to offer the best performance, the least NVH. And so I'm certain that most of these knockoffs are probably our version 1 or version 2.
We had a good year at SEMA one year where we walked around and found like several knockoffs that were based on like earlier versions of our mounts.
Just
like, hey, did you guys engineer this? Like, oh yeah, that's ours.
Yeah.
No, it's our version 1 mount.
Yeah. And we are 034 Motorsport. We've been in this business in the industry since 2004. We have been here for almost 20 years now, and we will continue to be here for long into the future. So when you buy something from us, you have the assurance of buying from a company that is going to stand behind its products, that's going to take care of you, that's not going to disappear overnight like some eBay seller or some of these smaller tuning shops that have come and gone who have knocked these products off in the past. And a company that's constantly developing and investing in Volkswagen Audi tuning applications to continue to bring new products to the market. So some of you customers have been with us for years, for 5-10 years. In fact, the very first customer that ever ordered on 034EFI.com at the time, he still orders from us. He placed an order like 2 weeks ago. He still lives in Florida. Like, it's crazy. And this guy's literally was like the very first web order we had. And he continues to buy. And he's modified a C4 S4. He had a 200 turbo for a while, an Quattro, an 8090. Then he got an A4, then an S4. Now he's doing B9 stuff apparently.
Did he have is that a 3-letter acronym website from back in the day?
No, it's just an
Okay,
individual.
okay. No, I'm
Like
thinking
he's not a
something
shop or anything like that. And I think the only time that 034 Motorsport we lose customers is when people just kind of move on from the hobby. They end up
That's our
having kids, they get married,
that's our
they,
dream.
they start
We're
working.
not here to just make a quick buck.
So you're not just buying a piece of aluminum; you're buying from us, and we require a certain amount of. One, we do things in a way that's not necessarily the cheapest, lowest cost. Engineering these products is not cheap.
Yeah, we have actual engineers sitting at workstations here every day.
QCing these products, having them in stock, ready to ship, achieving this type of quality, the type of warranty, and you basically have a lifetime warranty on these products. If you buy this insert and you ever have a problem with it, we'll replace it, and we will work with you and support you. So that's not cheap to do, and so we can't just sell things for super cheap and be a fly by night. That's not why we're here. So if you want to support a company like that, we appreciate it. We will continue doing what we do. We've had very good luck and success with this strategy of offering premium products at very fair value, high value prices. But we're never trying to be the cheapest on the market because
we can't do the race to the bottom thing and
No,
provide
it's a race to the
the
bottom.
product and the support that we feel is correct. One thing I do just before we change subjects, if there is actually a plastic mount on there, I don't know if there is, or it's just the way the wording was. Be very careful. Like, do not run that. Those mounts on the B9s and the B8s are limiting devices for the transmission as well.
That's right.
It will stop a transmission from lifting through that mount. If you have actually a plastic mount, like somebody thought they were being clever and did a plastic injection molded mount or something insert, then they clearly don't understand the forces being applied to that, and you'll end up eventually cracking and destroying a plastic insert and likely busting the transmission mount entirely and causing a lot more damage.
It would be dangerous. Even the Pauling ones have to have a metal plate there, like Nate said.
Yeah.
Every motor mount should have a limiting device to prevent it from completely separating, and that's what that metal plate. One of the things that metal plate does. Bought B9 S4 from dealership with 034 parts on it. Cool. How can I know if the car is tuned? Car pulls hard, but dealer has no info.
Yep. Hit up or tuning at 034motorsport.com with your VIN, and we would be happy to look it up for you and let you know if we have any history on it.
Okay, this is something that kind of came up over the weekend that many people have been asking us about, so we wanted to take a moment to address this. I hate to give attention or visibility to some of these people in our market or our community, but unfortunately, in order to truly address the problem, we have to we can't just completely avoid these people or this topic. But this weekend, our friend Mario Maleri, posted a screenshot supposedly of our tune and the log showing that our tune runs lean, and he made some pretty salacious and unsupported statements based on this random screenshot with no qualification that we run really lean, and that's why our tune's not safe or something like that. So I don't want to talk about him too much more, but I'll just say he has blatantly posted false information. He's posted draggy times that he said were his car, and they weren't. They were someone else's draggy time. It was falsified. Just last week, there was a pretty high visibility blown SQ5 motor on his tune that he blew. So this isn't the reliable person in our community, our industry that anyone should be listening to. But unfortunately, in this day and age, you can drop some kind of salacious bombshell random thing on the internet, and a lot of people believe it.
And this
right
case,
or
there
wrong,
was
they believe it.
no context over anything. It was a screenshot of a like text viewer of a CSV of a log file. It looked like, so it was just a very weird, non-contextual, no real information. Just I don't know why anybody would even.
So if you have to ask why would he post that or why would he do that, it's pretty obvious. So he believes that there is a business opportunity for him to steal 0 through 4 motorsport customers. I think we are arguably the most well-known, popular, most used B9 tuner in the market. And so if he can, attack us and hurt our credibility, even in his post on his page, there's people like, how do I get your tune? If my tune's not safe, I need your help to get, and they're people are, kind of falling for this tactic. We don't, that's not our marketing tactic, is to go attack someone else and try to like falsely hurt their reputation so that we can get their customers. This is kind of like the abusive boyfriend who convinces the girl that no one else can ever love her, so he can love her terribly. That's not our strategy. Our strategy is to focus on being the best, putting ourselves out there, and engaging with customers, and that's worked very well for us. So as far as his motive for doing this and misconstruing something, that's why he's doing it. I guess it's up to you to decide if that's something you're okay with or you respect, but certainly not our marketing strategy.
Yeah, and I'll say, I think we are probably one of the most, without question, probably the most open tuner and calibrator that you're going to find.
We certainly try hard.
We're not trying to hide anything. You can literally log any one of our files that you've provided, that you've purchased from us, with some of the most advanced logging tools that are available in this market. So I don't know, how much more out there and exposed we could be. We don't need. So there's nothing we are or could hide or would feel that we would need to hide.
The silly thing about this is Mario's post makes it sound like no one has ever logged our tunes and nobody knew what our air-fuel ratios were until now. It's just absurd. We offer a logging tool for any of our customers, and we will log your car and work with you and help you to log your car for free. We do that dozens of times a week, maybe more. We've helped thousands of customers log their B9 S4s, and we observe all the operating parameters of their tunes, not just air fuel ratio.
So it's definitely one we do watch.
It's not a big secret what our air fuel ratios are, and they're easy to log them if you have our tune. Now, that's that, and it's just disheartening that someone with such a terrible track record of truthfulness, and with someone with such bad motives, continues to put this stuff out there. But I think we're done talking about Mario. I will address something, since we are being open and honest and direct about this, is that the state that we are at, the period that we're at with B9 S4 tuning, especially with stage 3. This is stage 3 tunes. We are a tuning company that's faced with a market that wants the most horsepower, the most torque, and the most acceleration performance potential possible. Even now, with the tunes and calibrations that we have out, customers want to go faster. They want more power. The reality is,
or they're also experimenting and stacking things. Or they're providing hardware setups that are far outside of what the calibration's intended for.
Yeah. So everyone's pushing the power literally to the limit, and so we're at a point now where we are starting to see some motors fail and give up. It's not a widespread problem, as far as it's not like every motor that runs a A10 blows up. Not even close, right? But about once a week in the community of thousands of cars, we are hearing about a motor failure. Some of these are related to bad injectors. Some of these are related to other types of issues that are causing the motor to fail. But the reality is, the tune and calibrations that we have out, and I would say several of our competitors, we are at the ragged edge. We're at the limit of what these factory motors and fuel systems are capable of.
Yeah. And it's to say we've built in as much headroom as we can with the hardware that we have as well. It's not like we're literally pushing it as far as we can go. We build in headroom, but those margins just shrink the more and more power you make.
So I'll use an analogy like I often like to do. Imagine you're an acrobat and you're on the flying trapeze, and there's a safety net, and the safety net is rated to catch a person of your weight from 100 feet. If you go to 150 feet, you will hit the net and go through the net and hit the ground. Okay, so but you're a trapeze artist and you want to go as high as possible and you want to impress everyone and you want to put on a really great show and you want to feel the thrill of soaring high as possible. And so, stage one is 50 feet. Factory is 30 feet. And, as long as your factory 30 feet on a 100-foot net, you're fine. 50 feet, no problem. You get into stage two, you're now 60, 65 feet. But these 810 files, we're getting to close to 90, 95 feet. And so does that net, that's rated for 100 feet always catch you every single time? Sometimes it might not, and so how close to the limit you want to get is really your choice. The thrill of flying high is certainly amazing, but we are at a point with these tunes where everyone, we and certainly our biggest competitor in the space, we're all experiencing the same thing. The safety margin that we can build in is getting smaller and smaller, and that means that if the net, if you fall in one section of it and those knots aren't perfectly tied, you could go through it 1% of the time. So we are considering offering some slightly lower output files for anyone who's concerned about the possibility of experiencing an issue. We can give you more headroom and you'll still have an incredibly fast car. But a lot of the spark plug issues, the injector issues, the cracked piston issues, ultimately are related to the fact that we as the tuning community are pushing things so close to the edge of what's possible from the factory motor assembly and the factory fuel system. We have kind of hit a type of ceiling where we have to now innovate and develop past that to get to the next era of B9 tuning, which will allow higher horsepower and outputs than what we're seeing now with increased reliability.
Yeah, and we of course we shoot for a 0% issue rate. Of
course.
We're always we're shooting for that zero failures ever. And now even at these limits, we're talking about a few issues out of thousands.
And to be clear, it is a few people. Now, if you're one of the few, it's not much
consolation, I guess.
Relief, but yeah, we have cars in house that have never had a problem. We have lots of local customers that have never had a problem to that degree.
Lots of remote, lots of worldwide customers.
We have tuned thousands of these big turbo S4s, and the reliability is good. But if you want to have a 0% chance of having a failure, we do need to start pulling back the power for you if you don't want to take that risk.
Yeah, and we're working on we've got a lot of hardware irons in the mix. We have more components coming that are going to give us the margins, and then some that we want to always have under the hood. So there's more coming, but if we can provide larger margins where we are now.
And to be clear, this is not a 034 problem. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fuel system on this car is not a 034 fuel system. The factory motor is not a 034 motor. These are parts that came from Audi. So our calibration and anyone's calibration that's producing similar horsepower and torque figures is going to have these same issues. There's no magic pill here.
There's not some missing sauce that's just waiting there. And it's of course we're also trying to deal with literally anything in the wild that we have no control over. However these cars are built, how much fuel's in the tank. When people are doing all these polls, we obviously try and build in all these safeties, or we build in as many safeties and lean on all the factory safeties as much as possible. But it's out in a world where we have zero control over the environment, the operating conditions, the health, the maintenance, the fuel quality. It's who knows what mixtures people are running all the time. It's a tough thing to try and completely fail safe.
Yeah, no, there's never a perfectly safe even factory motors have issues, like we always talk about. It won't come as much surprise that there's probably no other tuning company that's talking about this. So again, we're very open, we're very direct, we're honest, and we're coming out and saying that this is an issue. If there are other tuning companies who aren't admitting this, then they're not being very genuine and or very transparent. Now, to be fair, this is a point that every tuning application gets to. You hear a lot about how much power BMWs make, or GTRs, or Supras. In the 270 era, we experienced this, where the tuning industry got things to a certain point, and then the factory motor, the factory turbos, the factory fuel systems needed to be upgraded and improved. This is something that's been going on in since FSI motors hit Volkswagens, in the Mark V era. So what's happening is supposed to be happening. It's cool. I'm excited that as an engineering company, we are now talking about how to make the motor stronger. We're talking about how to add more fuel to the fuel system. We're talking about cars that will be 1,000 wheel horsepower reliable. That's what's coming. But the journey sometimes has some bumps in the road. So if you want to wait out the process, we can provide lower output files that will ensure that you don't.
It's
have
going to give you
issues.
more headroom, yeah.
To give you more headroom. We can never prevent anything from happening, but we can put in more headroom. Just like my trapeze analogy, 95 feet is really cool, but you can still have a lot of fun at 85 feet, and you'll be that much safer, God forbid, if you fall and hit the net. And so that's what we want. We don't want anyone to have that type of issue. Now there are some of you out there that are like, it's worth it. If I blow up a motor, I'll pick up a used one for $5,000. I'll swap it out myself with some buddies in the driveway, and I'll be back up and running. And that's great. We're happy to support you too. But in the rare chance that you do have an issue, for some of you it's more devastating. And if that's the case, we'd like to make sure that you guys have a safe option as well by giving you more headroom.
And it's, again, to reiterate too, this is, if you are shooting for a power number, it's going to be across the board. There's just or all of the tunes out there, there's not going to be one that's going to be able to build in more headroom than what we've got on our files for a given amount of power.
It takes X amount of fuel to make Y horsepower. There's physics. It's based by thermodynamics and physics.
Yeah.
There's no magic extra amount of fuel from the fuel system that you can get to make more power. And so the lambda values end up being leaner than you'd like at the maximum output with less headroom, because there just isn't enough capacity in the fuel system to add more fuel. And again, no other tuner is able to magically add more fuel from a fuel system that's maxed out. So that's the issue we're at. And
It's not to say that we don't try, though. Like, we have systems in place to derate.
Oh no, yeah,
we have
all kinds of safety nets that are there
but those
for
don't,
all kinds of derates and all kinds of limitations and whatnot. And
but that's just a confusing statement, because derating is not adding more fuel. We're talking about adding more fuel.
Yeah.
But there are ways we can add safety by derating, and we already do that. All the factory safety systems are in place.
Yeah, and another thing we struggle with too is just the post-mortem on these. If and when there is an issue, it's very rare that we are able to do a thorough investigation as to the cause, just because it's across the world, or it's somewhere else, or it's getting dealt with. It's obviously getting dealt with outside of our control. So it's there's only so much information we're able to gather from some of these. So it's left to guessing what the potential failure might have been.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's any follow-ups,
feel free to ask. We're happy to touch on any more detailed points if anybody has them.
Someone's asking about lambdas and what's safe and EGTs.
So lambda is going to vary on these cars. It varies quite a bit based on exhaust gas temperature, and that's going to drive a lot of where your enrichment will begin. So if you're in a real quick first, second gear rip, maybe part of third, you're going to see lambda, near or a little bit below 1, and it'll richen up as the EGTs come up. So.
Yeah. Yeah, if the EGTs are lower, then you can run leaner.
Yeah.
And once the EGTs come up, you need that extra fuel to cool.
Yeah, and that's the exact same strategy the factory does on regardless of power output on any of these new motors.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And then, if you do a log, say in first gear, where EGTs are low and the engine's ripping, through the power band at lower boost, then you're going to be able to log lower lambda. If you're logging in sixth gear, you're going to see a different lambda because things are going to get much hotter.
Yep.
And so what's going to happen is, in order to richen it, the ECU will have to lower the boost to increase the fuel system capacity. But you can easily falsify, if you want, to create a salacious, attack message, or essentially what I would call propaganda, by taking a snapshot and then misrepresenting it, which is what Mario did.
And again, you can, like we said before, you can go log.
You can log it yourself.
You can do it with our tools. You can do it with VADCOM. You can do it with other tools. Like, nothing's locked down there. We're not trying to hide anything.
Yep. So, but we could, we wouldn't waste our time, but we could go find one of Mario's cars that is shop tuned and get some screenshots to make it look, actually we might not even have to falsify it, but anyways, it's just silly. So if you hear something about us and you want to know about it, then ask us. In this case, we're addressing it proactively, but there's no hit piece, there's no expose on what we're doing. We've been very open about it, and again, you can log it yourself with the tools that we provide you. So that's probably enough about that, but if anyone has any follow-ups, please let us know. Have you ever considered developing tunes for the Porsche Macan and with the 3.0T?
Yes, we have.
We have, and we should.
Yeah. We keep talking about it. It's it's on our
Let's get
list.
BK with the 3-liter.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yep.
On the MK8 GTI ECU tune, do I have to do the stage 2 to remove the soft limiter? I wasn't able to find it on the website. I appreciate you'll.
We have a batch of updates that are actually about to hit for that, which I believe addresses that as well. So that will be coming across the board.
Mm-hmm.
No, you do not need stage 2 for that.
No, you don't need stage 2 for that. That'll be there on all of the new updates.
Hi, using RS5 B9 also on track, and wanted to know what alignment would you advise? What is working good? Can I adjust caster with the 0-3 control arms? So you can't really do a lot with caster. You may be able to get a little bit if you kind of move everything. You shorten the fronts, but I don't.
The virtual ball joint. So the multi-link suspension has what's called a virtual ball joint in it, where all of the pivot points basically align. If you're dissimulated on a suspension analysis, it puts it out, kind of outside of the wheel area. And adding caster to that, you really need to change some of those pickup points to really affect caster in a huge way. So
adjusting caster on these cars is not easy. It would be a major.
Yeah.
But with that said, there's plenty you can do with the alignment. So, in general, I would recommend adding camber. Up to 2 or 3 degrees will really help with corner grip and tire longevity on track. And then as far as like toe goes, it's really up to you what you like. On some of our cars in the past, we've added toe out to the rear, which makes the car really lively, but helps it turn.
That's a very driver specific thing, because it's going to feel very unsettling to you if you're not used to that kind of a setup.
And won't be stable.
It's not going to feel nearly as stable in a straight line. It's not going to feel happy until you're like fully loaded up in the corner and you're like, this is where it's working.
Once the car's sliding, it'll feel good.
Yeah, but it feels like something's wrong the rest of the time.
Yeah, and then I don't have a specific recommendation. You could check out. I think some of the alignment settings for the RS3 may apply as far as toe goes.
For some basic toe stuff, yeah.
On some of our RS3 products, we list alignment settings. So check out the toe alignment settings. For those.
It's gonna really depend on where you're at as a driver. And I would say if you're at the level where you think you really want to start playing with some of the vehicle setup, document and test. So find an alignment shop that will work with you. Get all your numbers. Make notes on what you like out of the car and how it drives and what the characteristics you're looking for are, and hopefully that shop can help you out.
But I would say play with the camber.
Camber's
first.
definitely
That's going to give you the most.
These cars need it on track.
Even with factory tow settings, it's going to transform the car. Let's see. For your IS38 Stage 2 tune, you require a downpipe. However, you don't have a downpipe available. Is there a specific brand you suggest? We do have a downpipe available for the MQB, so I don't know why they say that. Do they mean it's not in stock?
They have not been in stock for the last few weeks.
Okay.
So maybe that was the
They are going to be they're arriving here very soon. So if you place an order today, it should ship in like a week or two. So I would strongly recommend using our downpipe. It's the best quality high flow cat on the market.
Some folks are asking about that new product sitting right in front of you.
Yes. Okay. Well, this is the new S3 AY intake. This is the whole bundle. So this is our S34 intake for the S3 8Y, which is a carbon fiber shield, solid carbon fiber, and a silicone hose coupler that is massive. So I have a pretty thick arm, and you can see
You're doing the forearm scale.
yeah. But this bundle includes our high flow turbo inlet, as well as the rest of the intake. This has a nice flow improvement over stock, and it's going to let a lot of the turbo sounds out that a lot of you love to hear. Very well priced. What is our retail on this?
I want to say $395. Don't quote me on that. It's not live on the site.
It's not. Okay.
Yeah, will be.
Yeah, it should be under $400 for this intake. With the S34s, our goal is always to provide maximum value. So really good high flow, good performance for a competitive price. In fact, our S34 carbon fiber intake will compete with cheaper plastic intakes and sheet metal intakes that are on the market for the same or less price.
Yeah.
So this will be going live probably today or tomorrow, and available for purchase. We also sell the intake without the bundle,
Without the inlet.
without the inlet, right? So it'd just be the intake part without the inlet. We added our billet inlet, which we released a few weeks ago, for a pretty minimal cost on this. So this is a good value to get the whole thing. Yeah, and just for the future, our inlet does have this insert. So once hybrid turbo options become available, we will offer bigger diameter inserts for the factory inlet. Nobody else is doing this currently.
Yep, and it's a little bit of future proofing.
And there are bigger turbos coming.
Yep.
For the S3, which is exciting. Which they're already practically doing 10s now. Stock
Yeah,
turbos.
it's pretty nuts where the combustion engine has come.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And do we know when that's really? This is hitting the website.
This week.
It'll be on this
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
It should be the next day or two. Someone says, "Are you cut?" I mean, our channel's literally called Uncut.
Are you cut?
So,
What does that mean? There is a
I
question
think they're
there. Are you
asking
cut?
about the level of circumcision, which is
Oh
kind of a
man,
private
this is
question.
follow up on the boxes and briefs.
They are privates, yeah.
Yes, I guess so. I guess someone thought that they could really get deep, but
Yeah. Do you want to really quickly cover ALC and stuff? Just say
Yeah,
I'm
still working on
Yeah,
it.
B9 advanced launch is being worked on. There's a couple of creature comforts I'm trying to add now. So yes, it's coming along. It's a big amount of work to get it to a point. I mean, it's working great right now. We can adjust the launch. We can move our launch targets and our basically the amount of power we're leaving the line with all over the place. It's getting to a point where it's in a, I would say, a distributable and packageable solution for all of these various ECUs that we cover. So it's getting there.
Mhm.
So it is currently being worked on, and it is currently working quite well.
Why is it so hard to find A4 B6 stuff? Well,
Aw.
it's not if you go to our website, www.034motorsport.com. We have lots of B6 A4 mods there. Are you guys excited for the Merc Racing supercharger that's shipping to y'all? We're not excited that it's shipping. We're excited that it's here. It looks very sexy.
Yep, we will be getting it on our development car soon.
If it performs half as well as it looks,
it looks really nice.
It'll be awesome.
So yeah, we're gonna start, or we're gonna continue collecting the data with the car as it is set up now. We like to do as close to a A/B comparison as possible for science. So that's in process right now. So but yeah, charger's here and we'll be going on very soon.
Hi, any possibility for E85 base tunes in the future? Have a 17 A3 Quattro and leaning towards 0344 Stage 1 setup for the MQB. Saw you have a high pressure fuel pump upgrade.
I was just talking with our guys about that today. So yeah, the MQB E85 stuff is still in the works and being actively calibrated.
What are your recommended add-on support mods? Suspension, plugs, coils, inserts, etc. for TTE810 Stage 3 power levels besides the required performance mods listed on your website?
You can just go through our catalog.
We would recommend.
That's what's on our car.
Yeah, we would recommend everything in our catalog. I mean, that's why.
We don't have anything that's fluff there really.
This is more of a question of like, what can you get away with, or what can you get away without, and how much money do you want to spend on all the mods? But we recommend everything that we offer.
It's really going to come down to what you're doing with the car. I mean, we're very road course oriented folks, so we want kind of the all around performance package. So it can turn, it can stop, it can go.
Any plans for a new forged wheel design? Eventually we will. Our current focus is bringing the flow-formed wheels, which are still the same, the same design as the original forged. The flow-forms are a little meatier because they're not forged. But I think once we do this and the flow-forms are successful, then we will look at adding a second design. But this design looks great on Audis and it's been very popular. Really no complaints. So the question is like, what else would we do and how different would it be?
We have a follow-up question to the 810 stuff at the bottom.
Someone's asking, on TTE810 Stage 3 reliability, wouldn't it be safer to run the 93 file versus the E6070 file? Yeah.
It's well, yes and no. I mean, it's a trade-off. You get a lot more octane headroom, so it's you gotta pick pick the side of the safety net you're landing on. I guess is
from a fuel system
from a capacity standpoint, absolutely yes.
And from an engine strength standpoint,
it is a lower output.
Yep. It's lower output too. So I would maintain that the gas, like the 93 gas file, is a safe file compared to the safe E60 file. But you're just, again, this isn't a discussion of like what's safe or not safe. It's a discussion of how close to the limit are you. And statistically speaking, the closer you are to the limit, the less headroom you have, the less safety net you have, which is why I use the trapeze analogy. I think the trapeze analogy sums it up perfectly. It's like, how close to the edge do you want to get?
Right.
And we all make these decisions every day, right? Like, I ride road bikes and mountain bikes, and there's a hill on Mission Peak. One of my friends goes down Mission Peak doing 45 miles an hour on his mountain bike. I do 35. That's my safe. Like, if I'm doing 35 and something bad happens, I'm not going to go off the edge of the cliff. My friend somehow thinks 45 is good for him. He's much closer to the limit, though, right? Because at some point, no matter what bike you're on, no matter how much talent you're on, you're going over the edge. And it's a function of mile per hour. So I stay well below that. Maybe that's 60 miles an hour for a pro. I don't have those kind of skills, so I go 35. And I feel really in control and safe. And so I guess that's what we're going to start asking you all, to make those type of decisions too, and say, how close to the limit do you want to be? Because I could go 45 too. I'd make it down, I'm sure, a bunch of different times, but the one time something happens and I get distracted and I take the wrong line, I don't want to go off the cliff because I got kids, I got a lot of life left, you know. So it's just not worth it for me. But for some people, I mean, you know, some of these guys they free solo, you know, El Cap with no ropes. You know, that's not enough. That's zero.
Yeah, that's
zero safety net. Safety net, right? There's no safety net. You just let go and you die.
Yeah.
So.
And we do, you know, so much testing with all of this stuff too to try and, you know, ensure everything is sussed out to the nth degree with all the combinations that we're offering. You know, I don't know of another calibrator that's on track more or, you know, working on pushing the actual real world environmental testing that we do, like we do. And, you know, so it's, yeah, we go a very long way in ensuring that these are going to be as reliable as they can be. But, you know, like we've been saying, it's that margin just does get smaller with you're making, you know, this pretty phenomenal power per liter numbers that are coming out now.
Any other objections or questions?
Yeah,
or,
does anybody else get anything?
There was kind of a follow up just on whether the full E85 file is derated enough compared to the E6070 file.
Well, on all of our testing, yeah. I mean, the amount, the testing we've done, all the track time we've done, the street testing, that's where it landed. We've got.
It's literally why it has lower output.
Yeah.
You know, because we derated it. Now, is it derated enough? Sure. We have no widespread issues. I don't believe we have any evidence that any customers have blown their motors because the tune wasn't derated enough. But there are some customers who have blown motors in this past 6 months, and usually we can point it back to a failed injector or, you know, some other factor that's not the tuner calibration.
If we're able to get enough information back, yeah.
Yeah, if we can, you know, if in some cases we have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is your time, guys, to grill us. This is the time. This is the time to put us on the spot. I know it's easy to, you know, a lot of the market, they like to talk crap in group chats and in private, and, you know, of course you can talk shit about us in a private group chat and we won't be able to defend ourselves, and who knows if you're making a valid point or not. So we're here
getting any kind of valid responses.
Yeah, so we're putting ourselves at your mercy.
Yeah,
So
you're welcome.
you know,
And you're welcome to peer review anything we're saying here.
Poke holes in what we're saying, you know. And if you're going to question us, I would say question our competitors too, because they're not currently having these conversations with you. All right, we'll keep going with other questions that are coming in. Are you guys planning on making an upgraded drive shaft center support bearing for the B8?
In all caps.
We don't currently have plans. There is one product on the market that seems well received. We are kind of in the business of making replacement drive shaft assemblies. They have kind of this kit that you cut the factory rubber out and replace it with a poly, like a two-halved poly piece
around the bearing.
That's not our product. That's not what we do. So for the B8, it's not serviceable. The drive shaft doesn't come apart. Right. So I don't know how many more drive shaft opportunities there will be for us in the future, unless we choose to go to this kind of reconstructing technique. For the time being, we have lots of other products to focus on, and I think that particular individual we respect and we like him, and he's doing a good job with that. So we'll probably let him keep doing that for now. Just picked up a 2013 Audi S5. Thoughts on other tuning shops? Vast, Jackel compared to 034. Vast is local to me in Michigan.
That's a really tough one to answer, because we can only speak to what we do and how we do it.
I would say it's very easy.
Okay, well, sure.
I mean, we're obviously going to say don't work with other tuning shops and work with us because we are the best in the industry, and you want to work with the best. I don't know much about Vast. I used to deal with Vast like in the 2000s.
That's a couple iterations ago.
They famously, oh my God, it's one of the best burnout out of business stories in the industry. And Mike Scheinman, the founder of that, I don't know if he's still around or involved in that.
He had some health issues.
But I know he had some terrible health issues. And Mike Scheinman was always a really nice guy, but he hired some pretty bad people. And he had this manager that just went online one day and just told the entire customer base and community to fuck off, and started arguing with people like something out of a movie.
Oh,
like
it was full,
and it was It was there was a lot of testosterone, I would say, and lack of accountability. And basically, they were out of business a week later. Everyone in the industry stopped buying from them, and I think they shut down shortly after that. So I actually heard recently that they're back in business. I can't imagine what the heck they're doing, but does it say?
I don't know. I honestly haven't looked in a very long time.
It's hard for me. Like, we get so much crap as being like one of the most well-known, reputable, established tuning companies, frankly, in the world at this point. I can't imagine trying to come back to life after all that and have anyone come to you. But if people want to use Vast, great. I don't know anything bad about the current new company, but it's just crazy to me, like how bad you can mess up and still come back. And
Mike Sharon's
he's what?
2012 E30 E63 on here.
Oh wow, great. I've never heard of Jackel. I don't know what that is. That's what? Oh, so that's
Consigns with those.
Yeah, they're doing.
Oh, okay. So that's Mario's tuner has his own shop called.
No,
Jackel.
it's the same thing. It's another tuning shop that uses the.
Oh,
tuner.
so they use Tony too.
Correct.
So Mario and Jackel just use this Tony tuner to do custom tunes. So again, we've talked about custom tuning before. We spend a lot of time creating production files. Production files are actually better than custom tunes. You benefit from years and years and thousands of hours of engineering and development. So I would stay away from custom tunes. And we have a whole clip out of me and Nate talking about custom tunes and why there's some misconceptions around them.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think it's just the misconceptions around what is a custom tune and what it gets you and what perceived benefits are there.
I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we are. Someone asked, do we ship to Chile? We do. We ship to basically every country in the world except Russia. In some cases, we have other companies that represent us, like in Australia. We don't ship to Australia.
We do well, not to direct.
We ship to VAG Parts, who represents us in Australia, and they do a great job for us. So, anyways, thanks guys for listening. We appreciate it. I think we'll probably be back next week on Monday.
Yep.
But,
and get whatever questions you've got ready, and we'll be happy to answer.
Thanks for listening. Appreciate it.